Good morning, Smite fans, or should I say good afternoon, since we're going to be starting in the European SML today. My name's Finch. I'm joined by Graham, Hinduman, Hadfield, and we're going to be moving into some pretty big sets. Yeah, you like it? You like that we're on like a cool futuristic sort of space?
It looks like we're actually got an audience and stuff. Well, we do. These guys, right?
Oh, they have their own broadcast that they're doing on the other side.
No, I mean the fans at home.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, I guess if you want to count them. SML happening today in Europe. First off, the first set we're going to be looking at. FlashPoint going up against Queso. Let's take a look at the schedule so y'all can see all the matches. We're going to be able to bring all of them to you every week since there's only going to be 4 in each region. FlashPoint versus Queso first. That's a big set of former actual minor league teams, Optimus Gang and the Poppies formerly. Then Simplicity up against Out Cold. And after that, we're going into North America.
And North America is going to be just as good as Europe, I think, as the weeks progress to see how well these teams do. Armada Sanguine, not necessarily roster changes there too much, but nice, interesting structure to them and see what they can do going into this year.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how these teams are going to go. I've always enjoyed watching the SML, but I think there's a good chance that it's going to be better than it's ever been this year. I mean, it almost feels bad sometimes to call it a league that's a step down with just how much talent that we have down there in this minor league.
Yeah, I agree. I think this league is going to be a lot of interest. The best thing about today specifically, though, is that we've seen a little bit of console so far, but the console meta, Finch, is not necessarily the meta as standard. Console is kind of a little bit spicier in terms of, like, bigger circles. Guan Yu for one. I don't think we'll see as much on the PC side of things. Minor League today, though, very excited for it because we'll actually start to see some of the initial expectations of the meta, what the top picks are, what the top bans are, and what these guys have actually been practicing during the offseason.
Yeah, especially with some of these teams. I mean, Out Cold is stacked with names that could be on an SPL roster tomorrow, right? Yeah. And Simplicity as well. So with those games in particular, I expect those matches to be very similar to what we expect from the SPL. And then Optimus Gang and Poppies are now their FlashPoint team Queso. Yeah. I mean, these are some of the strongest teams in the SML last year. FlashPoint, if Johnny could have played in those qualifiers, I mean, they might have been the team that came to the HRX qualifiers and maybe went to Worlds.
You're really accurate. I think FlashPoint Optimus Gang last year, they had a really good shot of making it until Johnny couldn't make it. The same thing can be said about Team Queso. The Poppies, they've been around a long time, these boys, and the grinders, they've been in the minor league. They've almost made pro time and time again. But the core of this team has always stuck together. Now going into this year, a lot of the players in the minor league in Europe specifically, have been talking about this team, saying, hey, they've actually got a real shot. They're playing really well as a team. The addition of WorstTurttle last year really seems to have helped them. And now they've got the former rival coach, Alpha Jackal, on their team.
That's right. AJ is the one that's helping them out from that coach position. So I think that we should have a very good match, and like you said, it should be one that'll be very indicative moving forward of what kind of things we can expect from the rest of the SML, and then even to some extent what we can expect from the SPL as well. But I mean, this FlashPoint team, they're now going to be going up against SPL caliber players once they start moving on beyond this Team Queso matchup. Yeah. And that's when we're really going to get to see them test their mettle. We might have been able to see it last year at the qualifier if everything had worked out for them. So I have my eyes on them. This is a team that I think could potentially cause some problems maybe if they get underestimated by Out Cold and Simplicity. So I don't think you can sleep on this team at all.
I agree with you, Finch, because the funny thing about this team is that Optimus Gang have been Pro League before. Most of these players have played in the Pro League for at least a split.
Yes.
And they've actually got Pro League experience. The teams in this division with them now in the minor league with some of these pro stars from yesteryear, and by yesteryear I mean last year, but it's still yesteryear. Emelito, Maniac. We've got some players like Death Panther as well. Fails, Pretty Prime, obviously. Those players are down here, but they're not on the team they once were. There's going to be a lot of learning for these teams to go through. Whereas FlashPoint, Optimus Gang, they've been together as a core for a long time.
Yes.
So they may get slept on by these teams. A lot of people expect them to lose to some of the other teams, but I think it could be the other way around, where the other teams have to kind of catch up and realize how good this FlashPoint team could be.
I'm right there with you. And last year, it was really on the back of Johnny in particular that this team was able to do well. I don't know if that same strategy is going to work against a team like Out Cold and Simplicity, teams that are very willing to ban Johnny out and say beat us with something else. Yeah. So this Team Queso matchup is very much like what we expected last year. It's when they start moving on that I think we'll really get to sort of test their mettle. But you made an interesting point, right? Maybe only Streak Up is the only player I can see here that might not have SPL experience, right? This is a team or a league full of players who've all played at the highest level and know what that's like.
Agreed, but they're not there now, and that's the big difference. Is like, the minor league is here for a reason. Whether you can't play pro for whatever reason, doesn't matter. If you're not good enough, that's also cool, because that's where the minor league's at. But the one thing about Streak Up is I've heard a lot of talk about Streak Up over the past year and a half. I did get a chance during the summer to go back to the winter, summer. I guess I look at summer break is our winter break. Sure. But yeah, I got back chance to go back to Europe in winter. And a lot of people were talking about Streak Up, saying, hey, keep an eye on him. And now and again, the Europeans can be a bit off, but they said a couple, when they say individual names, it's generally quite accurate. So I'm excited to see how Streak Up does on this team with the roster he's got alongside him.
They are pretty good usually at recognizing individual talent, even when we don't get to see it maybe shine in the exact team environment that it's in. So this first matchup that we're moving into then, Optimus Gang and the Poppies, this is kind of important, right? Because I think going into it, these two would be the ones we would predict would be the 3-4, and then Simplicity and Out Cold Gaming would predict to be the 1-2. So this is a chance for them to kind of put some space in that other team, and then now try and set their sights on earning one of those top 2 spots once we move into that set.
Completely agree, especially because the second set of the day is those top 2 teams that everyone's going to be excited to see and see how they perform.
The projected top 2, yeah.
Well, the difference is guaranteed winner and loser. There's no splits like we've had previously where there was only 2-game sets. It's a best of 3 every single time. And so we will always have a winner and a loser. So you're completely right. If FlashPoint can get off to a good start here, it can cause some problems for Simplicity Out Cold to be on the chase then after the fact. But let's not discount Team Queso here.
Not at all. Right.
I think this is a very close set between the two. These are two teams that are very experienced against each other, played time and time again. Lately, though, FlashPoint, on paper, in the professional setting of the minor league, have had the better go of it and have come out on top. The Johnny story is the big one.
And Team Queso, as they, like you said, towards the end of the fall split, they very much improved. They were 3rd place. They were in that qualifier sort of round robin with Insignum and with formerly Optimus Gang, now FlashPoint. So like you said, a team we certainly can't slip on, but we're ready to move into those picks and bans. Let's start working on getting this very first set of the day underway. And we saw a lot of stuff valued yesterday that I want to see if they're valued here.
I agree.
Vamana, Hera, right? Are those picks going to be ones that we're going to see up at the top? King Arthur was insta-winning games for teams sometimes, and it looks like we're already seeing for Team Queso that's a pick that they do not want to deal with.
I mean, Arthur's been out a little bit. I'm not going to call him Arthur, by the way, because he's my king. I can do that, just to be clear, okay? Once they're dead, technically just Arthur then. Like, it's like Liz first, you know? Like, she's dead, so I don't call him a queen anymore, right?
Right, sure, okay.
But you should still call him
Right,
king.
out of respect, yeah.
Anyway, back to King Arthur.
Good band.
Funny enough with King Arthur, overall, like, I think a lot of people have seen him rise to fame as time's gone on. The energy buff to his ultimate, meaning he can get it up more often, has really made a bigger impact because it is true damage.
Right.
It's caused a couple of problems where people just don't want to deal with it because his laning phase is so potent. It can snowball a little bit into the mid to late game.
It absolutely can be. We've seen situations where he starts off fights with his ultimate and then due to the energy gain is able to end fights with the ultimate, right? It's so powerful when he's able to use them that often, and Queso are not wanting to deal with it. They're also not wanting to deal with Johnny's Ao Kuang. That's his signature pick. About as signature of a pick as we have anywhere, really, is Johnny on Ao Kuang. It's such a difference for his team when he's able to play that, and Queso right away took that out. Getting a little bit of advice maybe from AJ upstairs saying, don't let that happen again.
I mean, there's no point just giving it him. Everyone's seen him perform on this Ao Kuang time and time again. Let's see what else he's got. Do like the fact we've got the AMC being locked in here. A little bit of a rise for AMC going into this season. But lane pressure, obviously something very important every single time. It feels like in the pro play, like you want to get that early lane pressure just to get yourself comfortable and settled in. AMC can bring that. And he also allows you to play a little bit of a support that might not have the best level 1 because his level 1 is so strong.
He can be quite impressive in terms of clear in lane. And they're going to pair that along with the Janus. And there's Vamana, who was very strong in the jungle when we saw him yesterday. So not too big of a surprise to see him coming out now. I am a little surprised at some of the picks we're seeing up near the top. There's been some rumblings about a Muzen Cobb, Xbalanque considered very strong, but Khepri and Janus taking this early, maybe not as much as I would have expected coming.
No, a bit surprised by that too, but it does tell me that they're definitely looking to have basically the backline. Fusify is going to sit there on the Khepri and be like, I will peel everybody. So they're going to allow the Vamana to dive in very deep, even use the ultimate, even if they try and burst him down, maybe get a cursed on, which a lot of people seem to be going to deal with the Vamana. It won't be enough because then Khepri's like, no problem. I'll get him back up again and we'll go a second time.
A second big baby, not looking to try and deal with that. As Sylvanus comes in, I liked your point that a Muzen Cobb lets you go with a support with less pressure, but instead they doubled down and they got a ton of pressure. Their ability to clear level 1 and 2 is going to be oppressive.
And to fight as well. One single route from Sylvanus connects, and that is a lot of burst that AMC can put out onto them. Not only that, though, Sylvanus did get a couple of buffs just lately as well. The Wisps.
Right,
the Wisps healing a little bit quicker is going to make an impact. As soon as it connects with you, you get an instant heal at that point. That's a bit more sustained for the lad. And damage on the opponents, too. It is a tick after all, but that getting there a little bit sooner will make a bit more of an impact.
No, you're exactly right. That's one that you want to make sure you note. I want to make sure that we note that Hera somehow made it all the way to the second ban phase, and rightfully so. If she makes it there, get her out of there. She was very strong. We saw her played yesterday as well. As Sun Wukong comes in for FlashPoint.
I'm still a little bit surprised by the Hunter focus so early on. Hunters
Yes,
in Season 5 specifically, and heading into Season 6, everyone's been saying, well, you just stay in lane till 25 minutes and hope for the best, and if your team's not won, hope you can land some basics and they're not too tanky, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what the story's been. So now these two teams have both drafted Hunters early, and I'm like, okay, so you want to try and make it comfortable for those two, but that means likes of Hera won't get through because it gets to be bad in the second phase.
And I am surprised if they're prioritizing Hunters. It's not like the Kernaner's Runeforge, which has been so strong, right? At least that's something that's certainly kind of risen up lately.
Ooh.
As Cabrakan and Zhong comes through, and all of a sudden, Team Queso is a very tanky team that I don't know who you try and kill on anymore. I guess maybe Xbalanque if you can get to him, but that is not an easy squad to get to and burn someone quickly.
Very, very tanky squad. And then on top of all that, you got Xbalanque in the back line just swinging away, Darkest of Nights causing problems. And even if you do that, what happens? Khepri's there for the res.
Exactly. So this might make this job very difficult for someone like a Kali potentially. So we'll see if this ends up working for FlashPoint as they pick that hyper carry towards the end. Game number 1, set 1 here in the SML. Casters, take it away.
That's us. Thanks, John Finch. Thanks, Hindu Man. And as we get into game number 1 of the Smite Minor League, it's me and Taco on the call.
Pretty excited to be here also. I mean,
Me
we're
too.
starting things off hot with Europe. There's been so much talk surrounding the European minor league because of all the former pro talent that's coming into play now. And so, of course, that isn't going to be the case like here for this particular set, but there's just so much competition right now, I feel.
You're right. The competition is the league is rife with competition for sure, but this is the other side of the league that that hasn't been injected with that ex-pro level talent, and I'm fine with it. Team Queso, I mean, this is basically the Poppies, right? This is your Spanish-speaking team for the most part, and then the other side, FlashPoint. Last year, what were they? Optimus Gang. This is another team that has been sticking around for a long time, and these FlashPoint guys, real talk, they've been kind of like my pet team. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, because look at Vamana. You can see already Julio looking to make a wraparound play from the short side. Hasn't even been to lane yet. Kespainify down to 25%. A little bit of help from the solo laner. What are you even doing here? Dracomarino gets the first blood off of the early level 1 gank from the solo.
And that's just the dream start. If you're the solo laner in that situation, to not only confirm or help confirm the first blood, but then not even lose your buff in the process, that is exactly the type of play that Team Queso wanted to look for their own purple buff invade on the duo side of the map.
That kill is going to result in the purple buff invade. Does go the way of Team Queso. FlashPoint can't really figure that one out. But it was really nice watching how Julio was able to help out on the left side, and then as soon as he shows his face, Sun Wukong, Sibi on the solo lane comes into the jungle looking for the blue. Well, that's exactly where WorstTurttle is, right there to defend it, and then Julio gets the buff.
Well, I think Sibi also made the right choice there, because during that initial gank from Julio in the dual lane side, he was also looking for an invade on the speed buff, and I think that was also part of the reason why Julio might have been looking for that third-man gank right off the start of the game, because no one really anticipates it all that often. It is a rather rare occurrence when it does happen, but AMC, probably one of the hunters that you should be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, still trouble for Fusify. Only level 1. Team Queso already level 2 on the Khepri and the Xbalanque. So the Khepri here, an interesting choice. Sibi, though, if you watched the console league yesterday, Xbalanque's been doing his thing.
Xbalanque has been a rather popular pick already at the start of Season 6, and I think it's just largely due to the fact that ultimate is just killer when it comes to competitive team play, because not having communications for upwards of 3 seconds is just so frustrating and limiting in team fights.
That's something that we've heard pros say for, I mean, as long as there have been people that can call themselves pros. Smite obviously is, there are some things that are similar to when you're playing in your ranked game and watching here, and there are some things that are very different. And I think Darkest of Nights is absolutely a very different game when you're in your ranked game and you're just VGS and sure. But these pro, I mean, you've been in pro level communications. Everything is talked about. Julio's gonna have to talk about this gank. He doesn't see Johnny showing, turns around, and Johnny blinks forward, gets the stun.
Ooh.
Lash is good, and Julio gets punished for his audacity early game, but a matching blink from WorstTurttle. Johnny with some body blocks, good enough. Sibi turns around, and the animals gets him out of there. A nice play from Sibi.
And that's just That's a feels bad moment right there for WorstTurttle. You
Yeah.
come in looking for the gank, expecting to at least be able to trade out for your solo laner. That way Julio doesn't lose that little bit of a lead that he's already managed to develop from that first blood gank. But now Sibi actually still choosing to lurk this solo lane at the same time. He just doesn't really seem to be all that concerned about a potential secondary gank opportunity from WorstTurttle.
Yeah, I mean, WorstTurttle, Cabrakan is a character, you pushed your buttons. We saw it, right? We'll see you later. WorstTurtle could lap around a secondary time, but there's so many jungle camps to get at right now. I mean, the jungler, if you gank too often, which is interesting because I think that we are still in a very jungle-driven league, you've got to get your farm, man. If you're not able to get those levels, Kali already level 5. And again, if you watched the console league yesterday, Kali can be pretty strong.
I think that was also just a strong response from Dzoni in general to draw attention towards the opposite side of the map, so that way all of the focus won't necessarily be placed onto that dual lane where he has that on Muzen Cobb. You want to give Kespainify some room to breathe. The less attraction or less attractive that this dual lane looks, and the more that WorstTurttle is forced to rotate elsewhere, the better off FlashPoint's going to be in the long run.
I love that you bring that point up because a lot of players kind of watch what goes on in jungle. And listen, you can watch other positions and play your position correctly. Playing jungle, I think, is dependent on understanding how the other lanes are playing their position, and that's how you play your position. So yeah, I think Dzoni had a couple of options, and ganking on the right side did exactly what you were talking about, drawing the ire of the team to the other places.
I will say, though, it was rather surprising to see Dzoni look for a rotation that early into solo, and I think it might have only been because of the fact that Julio didn't have that big baby form just yet. Had he actually had the ultimate, that would have probably just been seen as a waste of time by Dzoni, but to invest the blink there. But Kali, you've got to take what you can get.
Absolutely, get the kills early and often, and in the solo lane, those kills come so infrequently, and they usually come early. So if you're going to look for something in the solo lane and you're not Wukong, you're usually ganking very, very early, and that's it.
Vamana's also not that easy to work with, but all that thought of Warchi in a little bit of trouble here. Dracomarino going to get caught up in that portal, could buy him a little bit of time here, but Warchi will be safe and sound, does get forced out of releasing the Ghost, but the rest of FlashPoint seems like they're still willing to brawl.
Oh, nice dash from Draco. A misplay from FaraKrik. If he nails that portal, that's a wonderful kill. Nice body block from Johnny. I do think WorstTurttle will get out of the way. Warchi tosses his ability as a zoning tool. But yeah, I think in that scenario, if the portal hits, that's a completely different story. Luckily, FaraKrik was over level 5, so he did have the ultimate available to get out of there, because using the offensive portal is scary business.
Now, Julio, this is exactly what we were talking about. Dzoni shows his face, and that's all it takes for Julio to drop his ultimate, and I respect him for that. You don't want to risk giving a secondary kill to this Kali, especially not when you're the same level as her. That kill bounty is still bound to be more than worth it.
I was with you until he backed and teleported. He's real low, and so Julio uses the ultimate so that he's out of blink stun kill range, right? That's exactly what's happening there. If he just backs up at a blink range, backs to base, teleports, I think he gets the same, and he still has the cooldown.
Probably just one of the situations where he just viewed it as rather safe than sorry. You never really know what is going on in the mind of another player, and in a sense, this kind of felt a little bit more like a mental move from Dzoni, as opposed to him really needing that solo lane farm. It's just, if Julio isn't paying attention, Dzoni might look to commit there, and rather than take a chance with the 50-50, Julio just says, no, you're not going to gank me. We both know this if I ult.
That's fair. Dzoni, one of the best junglers not in a pro league uniform. That was certainly true last year, and even with the newer talent, we were talking about this earlier. So there's a couple of pro players that have not joined the pro league this year, and they'll be playing here in the minor league. And Johnny's one of the players that I think I am most excited to see play against that level talent, because this is a guy I've been watching, this FlashPoint team. I like the way they play together, and Dzoni specifically is their star. He's scary, so you know what? Julio, you can ult that.
I just hope that this year, if anything, and if this team does see some of the same success that Optimus Gang saw in Season 5, that Johnny would actually be able to make it out to a LAN.
I was so disappointed.
He's a LAN maker. He really has gifted this team so many different opportunities because of his jungle outplays, and it really is incredible, the stuff that he's managed to accomplish in the amateur leagues.
Yeah, I mean, he's their star for sure. Which is interesting. So some teams play completely that sort of, we always look at Team Rival as the quintessential example, or ex-Team Rival as the quintessential example of full team play. And then you see, like, you know, a team like FlashPoint, which really has one superstar that they kind of go around.
Ooh.
Nice grab on a Draco. Dash is good, an ultimate to follow up. Will they get the kill on the support, though? I don't think so. The Khepri ultimate is there.
Might still be just as good. Killing that Scarab's Blessing means that now FlashPoint can continue to play on the front lines.
Sure.
That's a big thing that they've already been doing, is positioning themselves rather aggressively. That pull from Fusify didn't just look cool, it's also kind of sending a message to Dracomarino that if he's not watching his corners, he might very well end up behind them.
Very true. Very, very true. FlashPoint already with a ton of damage. Fusify again with the pull. And this is something that we noted in the later stages of Season 5. Fusify's how adept he is on this Sylvanus. And so seeing it here in Season 6 is nice too.
Yeah, he had a couple of warning grabs earlier, and the warnings are done now. They were just to send a message. Now he's just full on snatching you up.
I think that's just par for the course with Sylvanus. You got to warm up a little bit, right? Miss one or two, and then it's going to be on point.
Gotta make them think that you're not gonna connect. That's the real mental outplay.
I mean, honestly, right? The best juke is no juke. So you train them to no juke, and then you hit them when they're not juking. And then everybody's getting juked.
Can't disagree with this, and there's a lot of pressure, I think, riding off of this mid-jungle synergy to see who fares out better between Johnny and FaraKrik. And
so, I'm sorry, about this duo lane on the Xbalanque, why did Xbalanque not stop the back names either?
Because if he, that thought, Warchi getting pulled in straight up into the Wrath of Terra,
Big
and now,
ultimate.
but the through space and time just did not look like it connected onto Warchi. Doesn't matter though, because the unstable vortex will clean him up anyway, but Johnny will pay for his overextending. WorstTurttle there to make sure that this jungler doesn't get away with anything further.
Yeah, WorstTurttle keeps playing cleanup. It's the same thing that is the opposite of what happened over there, where you saw Julio get the first blood, and then Johnny goes ahead and takes advantage of the solo lane. So WorstTurtle comes in and tries to get the cleanup kill. This time WorstTurtle actually converts. So that's a nice look there for the jungler to be able to answer back. A nice play from FlashPoint, though, again, to collapse on one target. FaraKrik with an ultimate might have missed the enemy, but it got the whole team right through those walls, so they were able to find themselves in a good position.
What really mattered to me was the timing of that play from Fusify. As soon as his ultimate was re-available to him, he immediately looked for another play opportunity, knowing that Dracomarino's Scare's Blessing was still on the verge of coming back up off cooldown. He's got it now, but he didn't have it when he needed it most.
And you know Draco's sitting there like, 10 seconds till it's up, 10 seconds till it's up, and that's when they get invaded, that's when they get aggressed on. No accident.
But you would almost forget that it was FlashPoint who got first blooded. Looking at the scoreboard right now, FaraKrik could be in a little bit of trouble here.
Nah, he can walk through walls.
Yeah, Chekio tried to give a little bit of chase. You saw the Rising Jaguar go off, and it's like, okay, Chekio.
Yeah, that dude walked through a wall. You were saying?
But yeah, getting back to the original point, I think that it's really, actually, I'm gonna be honest here.
So
you lost me.
I was gonna cover for you, Taco. I really was. You had mentioned that FlashPoint had gotten first blooded. They actually were not the first ones on the board, but now they have a slight lead. They've got some wind in their sails.
Yeah, it looks like they got the first blood. It's a 400-goal lead. Just minor advantages. It's interesting, though, because of the fact that it shows that there's been efficient farming.
Exactly.
And normally you would assume that a first blood being given up would put that team at an immediate disadvantage, but that definitely has not felt like the case here.
WorstTurttle coming out with the walrus hands. Not really going to find anything, though. I keep seeing these 3-on-3s where they mean mug each other, and I'm waiting for the blinks. I'm just waiting for the blinks. Chekio right now uses the beads to get out of the cripple. Johnny on the follow. Ultimate from Chekio will keep Johnny and Kespainify a little bit distant.
That Stinger, though, really well timed. Warchi could be in trouble here. Sibi with the rotation
Could
as well.
be.
He actually blinked in. Purification beads have already been forced from Warchi, but there is nowhere left for the Zhong to run.
Beautiful body blocks coming out, and here comes Julio, but he's by himself. Now has help from WorstTurttle and Dracomarino. Johnny wants nothing to do with this fight. Everybody stuck in the Cabrakan cave. WorstTurtle with a nice ultimate. Not enough damage. Fusify still alive. Julio on the chase, and he gets him with the big old cone. 3-3 as the baby gets the kill.
Dracomarino, though, needs to be careful. Johnny still hunting for WorstTurtle, and without any Scare's Blessing to save him, I think he's just going to have to kiss this speed buff goodbye.
Oh, the stun burn is bad. The ult burn is interesting, and it don't matter. WorstTurtle gonna be turtle soup this time. Kespainify finishes off the fight. Here comes Julio. Dash for dash. Sibi giving chase. Kespainify. Nice escape from the AMC. Meanwhile, off-screen, Johnny gets punished for his speed buff invade. Warchi and Dracomarino on the spot.
Just poking at different pressure points is what it feels like from FlashPoint. I think that was a huge pickup kill, though, for Kespainify.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on this, but I'm fairly certain that was actually a solo frag as well from the Muzen Cab. And I would not be surprised in the slightest, because AMC, when you try to take a one-on-one with them, you have to be certain you are going to have the upper hand here. And Xbalanque, if you get those poison darts out, it looks like Chekio might have already had the Aussie online before that engagement, but even if he did, it's still just so risky because that burst potential from the Stinger is just insane.
That's the big difference, is that AMC, it's interesting. I always try to, classify characters, right? When you look at Rom, he's a basic attack character. When you look at Neith, she's an ability hunter, right? Well, AMC does both. Hives make him attack a zillion miles a minute, and also Swarm and Stinger is some of the biggest burst damage in the game. So you've got to be wary of both of those things, and Kespainify is no slouch.
I think one thing that kind of throws me off here is I find the Cabrakan jungle to be a rather interesting choice. I feel like the concept, oh my god, these pools!
Draco cut down to 80%. Fusify keeps grabbing the, well, I don't want to say the wrong person, but they're just not able to do anything to the Guardian.
But it looks cool.
Yeah.
That's all that really matters. It's just the fact that he's able to consistently land those that you're really keeping an eye out for, just like Chekio's keeping an eye out for Johnny in his jungle now. It's the second or third time that we've seen Johnny rotate over, but where's the Cabrakan presence?
Cabrakan is making his kind of name in the mid lane. We saw a good ultimate, but really nothing on the sides. Scrum here on the left side jungle. One knocked up by way of Sylvanus ultimate. Kespainify already killed. Johnny's low, but in that Kali ultimate. There's the Cabrakan presence you asked for, but is it enough? WorstTurtle gets FaraKrik, but Chekio falls to the wayside thanks to Sibi. Fusify, the portal closed! You can't go that way, buddy! But WorstTurtle, slamming the walrus hands, is on the bad side of the double kill, while Johnny takes care of the support player. 3 players in Queso uniforms down, and Julio makes that another one, so it evens things out. A 3 for 3 as Julio takes down a member of FlashPoint. On the run, looking for Fusify.
He's still going, and I'm pretty sure he's going to find him. There's no one to stop Vamana from his terror. He's just running at them. He's level 17.
That's
he doesn't
absurd.
care about the tower, but Sibi, same could be said about him not caring about Warchi. That was one slight overview from Julio, I think. Got a little bit tunnel visioned on that level 11 Sylvanus and kind of forgot his own boy might need some help.
So aggressive solo laners, huh?
Oh yeah, they are back more than ever before, I think.
It's been a moment since we last saw some competitive Smite. November was the Smite World Championship, and here in Season 6, some things have changed. We'll say hello to some interesting Gold Furies a little bit later. Kill bounties are a little bit more valuable than they once were. The Fire Giant, a little bit more visible on the enhanced side. And there's a little change in the solo lane with the totem, but the ripple effects have been large, and seeing these aggressive solo laners just come out, jungle level 14, supports level 11, and you're just rolling up into dual lane level 17, Yeah, there's going to be a lot of aggression in these games.
That's just the way it is right now in Smite, and I can't say that I'm one to really complain about it. It's pretty fun to watch, but I do want to draw things back to that original team fight that we just saw break down. I think where things really went south for FlashPoint is they were just too spread out. They were all over the place, it seemed. Kespainify, I think, about to get the solo kill on the Chekio, looking to give chase. Actually uses the purification beads to make sure he can get in range for the honey spread. And now,
the
if he
wall!
can cut through this wall,
And there's the knockup from the support. Kespainify waits out the Cabrakan nonsense and wiggles past Dracomarino. Wonderful play, kills the bricks and gets through the portal. It's a heads-up play there.
not out of trouble just yet, though, for FlashPoint. Four-man grouping still in the duo side, and it's Team Queso who lost their ADC. Remember that, because they're still looking to play aggressive onto Sibi now.
Well, Sibi just gonna get healed up. Thought we might see a FlashPoint commit, but not the case here.
That felt awkward, though, from Chekio.
Yeah.
All that thought, Fusify actually getting caught inside of the Khepri, not able to grab anybody, but there's no portal to save him just now. Sibi's gonna have to go up into the cloud, chilling, waiting for his moment to strike back down, but Julio is looking to control Kespainify right underneath his own tower.
1 versus 3, 3.5 with the tower just beating on the big baby. Julio takes down 1. Sibi still in trouble as Dracomarino's tanking, but Warchi seems to have said, I have no cooldowns, so Draco must back off. Julio still here, 25%. No ultimate available, but could make the flank if that's what Queso wants. This is a dangerous play because Sibi is no slouch either. Level 18, breastplate of valor. He's geared to go.
Sibi is tanky enough now by this stage and with the itemization that he opted for that I don't think he has to really be worried about anybody wanting to commit to diving him, because even if Queso wanted to kill the Son Wukong there, they're going to have to dive that T1 tower for a while because there's Ox form you have to worry about, the slows as well. It's just so frustrating sometimes when you're trying to pinpoint a Son Wukong.
Cabrakan, a very interesting choice here from WorstTurttle. And I'm curious if we'll see more Guardian jungles.
There's been a lot of back and forth action, though, from these two teams. It seems like whoever gets a pick initially, it doesn't feel like an advantage because they're still looking for more. Dracomarino now going to end up falling to the ticks from Fusify. That dot damage is nothing to really overlook.
And making sure to attack at the right time. Draco didn't have the ultimate. Down goes 1, but another on the other side. FaraKrik answers back to Warchi. 3-1 though now, as Johnny is starting to make himself known. Julio on the run, but Johnny's the one that's got to turn around. The chase is good. Julio might be able to grab him as FaraKrik takes care of Chekio off screen. Julio, the only member of Queso alive, but Julio could do some damage. I think Julio's existence just now is enough to keep FlashPoint off of the Gold Fury, which is what that fight was around.
They don't want that Gold Fury right now. Not with this Vamana lurking. It's just too risky, and there's Janus isn't exactly your 100% guarantee on those big objective secures either.
Not quite.
You don't really want a chance losing a Gold Fury after winning such an important team fight, because FlashPoint did come out on top there. I think that FaraKrik hitting that 2-man portal into the unstable vortex is exactly the momentum swing that they needed to bring that team fight into their favor. Once
they saw Julio cross the mid lane though, and he showed up on the minimap because of these minions, that's when FlashPoint knew that they had the opportunity to look for gold. With Julio still around here and the players having to back to base, that was an issue. But you saw members of Queso push Julio out into the mid lane. Once he's on the map, then the players are already walking out of base. They're able to hit that Gold Fury. So the first objective of the game goes to FlashPoint. And they find themselves up about 3,500 gold here in our 22nd minute.
It's kind of odd, though, that Julio would leave the Gold Fury. That felt like a team call. That had to have been a team decision, because otherwise, I think that he definitely could have just left his presence there and forced FlashPoint to not really want to go for that Gold Fury, as tempting as it might have looked originally.
I agree. I think that Julio chose to get zoned. which is kind of funny. FlashPoint, I said, zoned him out to the mid lane. I think Julio made that choice.
He stripped the jungle on the opposite side of the map to further boost his experience.
Wow.
But Checkio, I'm not sure that he really stands a chance here. The boosted movement speed, however, gonna get him out of trouble for now. There's still FaraKrik waiting on this Janus for his opportunity to connect with that unstable vortex. But just look at how quickly Checkio's health bar was chunked, already forced out of his Aegis. His beads will be coming up in about 18 seconds or so, and when those arrive, you can definitely be expecting Johnny to be looking to pull him.
This is the scary part of we're starting to get to the really scary section of Kali. Once she has Katana and Shinsai, it really just becomes very miserable to fight her. One of the original hyper carries. I believe that term is a little overused these days, but Kali, still that character.
I think he's going to go for the Wing Blade also, because
I'd
he's
love that.
dropped 1 or 2 kills due to the slows from Queso, but if he doesn't have... The poison darts are actually going to work against Checkio now if Johnny finishes off this item into a Wing Blade. But this is all just an assumption. I would just have to
Well,
believe.
you've got, what is it, Wing Blade, Witch Blade, is Ritual Dagger in then?
Yes.
It's just not. I think Wingblade would be the correct choice in a world where the word correct is kind of scary to use. I think it would be correct. And Johnny has usually been on point.
It just seems like the most reasonable itemization option, because the 2 carries that you would want to all in and commit both have self-peeling slows in their kits. So Zhong and Xbalanque, if you don't want to drop those kills, you just run at him, kind of like how Julio is just running at Johnny right now.
Shinsai is really going to chew through what Julio has brought as far as his HP is concerned. FlashPoint on the run, looking for the plays. Dracomarino knocked up. Sibi stunned out though. No follow-up damage. Sibi pops into the ultimate, looking for the dive, but the tier 1 tower not actually there. FlashPoint took care of it earlier. Kespainify dealing with the mid lane. Warchi down for the count. Julio, that ultimate's not going to help you out there. It's all about Johnny, baby. Level 20 Kali, just making it happen. And Julio, what once was, will no longer be. WorstTurttle, same story for he. Johnny, killing spree. That's kill number 3.
Even if Queso had thought about contesting the Fire Giant, I think that one play from Johnny shuts it down entirely.
Oh, yes.
It's already an eye-opener when you're watching your Vamana die in his ultimate from the Kali, but it's even worse afterwards when your Cabrakan's just chilling, trying to back underneath his T2 tower, and the next thing you know, he's getting blinked on into his death. And Johnny did end up losing his purification beads. That is going to be a really big deal for Queso in the next fight. If FlashPoint are smart, they'll look to still push aggressively off of this Fire Giant, but they need to be careful, because if Johnny gets CC'd for even a split second, you can bet that every single ultimate is going to follow up after for him.
Things all working according to plan here for FlashPoint, though. You draft a Kali and don't expect her to really make that level 1 impact. Even though Johnny did over there in the right side solo lane, right? Kali is a late game character. And, you know, as I said, it's actually going to be a toxic blade. As I said, the Katana and the Shinsai is when Kali really comes online. And as soon as those are finished, that's when FlashPoint decides to really commit to the team fights. We saw some of them before, but Queso was kind of starting them and FlashPoint was responding. Now, FaraKrik tosses out a portal, lets Johnny go all the way deep, and just kill everybody. That's what this composition is drafted around, letting Johnny do the work.
You know, the Toxic Blade didn't even really cross my mind, but if Johnny wants to just become the team's designated Vamana killer,
Exactly.
I can't say that I'm not here for it, because Julio has, without a doubt, posed the largest threat to FlashPoint throughout the entirety of this first match here. And so if he's not able to still be that frontlining candidate for Queso, then that's going to definitely crush some of the team's confidence on these structure sieges.
I love the Toxic Blade here. Very rarely do I love the Toxic Blade. Here, I absolutely do. Like you said, dedicated Vamana killer. It's going to hurt Warchi as well, because that Exorcism heal is actually a really big deal. And also, the penetration in what was a low penetration build before the Titan Spade came out. So, I mean, this is... I'm here for it. And FlashPoint going to try to make use of it if the tier 2 falls down.
And I almost feel like this is where Khepri kind of becomes a trap for your team, because you've got the Scarab's Blessing, sure, and Kali is a single target killer, sure, but whoever is getting the Scarab's Blessing dropped on them, everybody else is free game, and that's exactly what we saw in the last team fight as well. That's why Team Queso tried to just ditch Warchi and go. They left him stranded in mid lane because it was their best case scenario to try and hold on to their Fire Giant contention, and so when they crumbled immediately after, because FlashPoint just shifted all of their attention, they just waited it out.
Yeah.
That's the thing about competitive play and at this level of play. You don't have to worry about someone last hitting during the last couple of ticks of that Scarab's Blessing.
Patience is a virtue. FlashPoint are fortuitous. Good word. Virtuous. Virtuous is the correct pronunciation. So, talking about Johnny's build here, there's been a lot of conversation about Elixir of Speed versus Red Pot, right? FlashPoint. Pop the Janus ultimate. They have wards. They saw Queso at the purple.
They wanted him.
They wanted...
A little bit too towards the lane, though, and not deep enough.
FaraKrik, I think, was aiming for the buff. I think FaraKrik was definitely trying to be a little cheeky there and go for the steal. Elixir of Speed or Red Pot, not on the menu just yet. FlashPoint looking to siege on the left-hand side. Bird, healthy. Draco pulled in, dashed out. Johnny not here just yet. Warchi in trouble, but Sibi, 25% already forced into the ultimate. The crit's big from the enemy hunter.
But that's the sprint already invested into Checkio, and that was a boosted sprint now. So if FlashPoint still want to keep pushing, they can try and use the slows from Kespainify. That's why he just keeps proccing that honey over and over and over again. But I think FlashPoint might just want to fall back for now. They already got a lot out of their last Fire Giant, and now this next one, the Enhanced Fire Giant, is just going to make these Phoenix Sieges a little bit easier for them if they're able to confirm it again.
This guy right here is definitely the star. FlashPoint know it. They're playing through him. They're that team fight, if Johnny's there, might even go differently. So kind of a miscommunication there. But looking across the way, how is Queso trying to deal with Johnny? Well, Julio here, excuse me, has the Mid-Guardian Mail, which I love. And more importantly, the horrific emblem on the jungler. WorstTurttle goes to the horrific emblem. Doesn't have beads, and that's going to make him a sitting duck, but he's got the slowdown button. And when it comes to attack speed oriented characters like Kali, that is almost, you kind of need it.
It kind of sucks though that it's your Cabrakan jungle that's picking up the blink horrific, because what happens if WorstTurttle becomes the target? Then he probably just dies.
Well, the thing is, I mean, your solo laner has teleport, which is, you know, you only get one relic in solo lane, and then your support has already gone into the shell.
But WorstTurtle, even just looking at his build, he's clearly opted for something a little bit more frontline based. He definitely thinks that his team needs a little bit more initiation probably, which is why he went for this hybrid-esque type build on the Cabrakan, and that's completely understandable. But when you're dealing with gods like Kali, I feel like you almost have to match that late game potential, and they're trying to throw that all into Checkio, but one Xbalanque has to get incredibly lucky with these crits. And maybe if he gets the Deathbringer online, then I see it as being a little bit more likely if they're able to crowd control Johnny for at least a couple of seconds. But as it currently stands, I just have not seen the damage necessary to counteract this Kali efficiently.
He's 1,000 above Khepri.
I know.
You can't, if you're a Cabrakan jungle building more power than we are used to seeing on Guardians, you can't have 7,900 damage. That's just fact of the matter.
But this has also been a direct result of how limited these team fights truly are for WorstTurtle, because his ultimate has been primarily utilized in order to just cut off pathways for Janus.
They've looked nice, they've been effective.
He just can't get in there. If he tries, he just dies, because you've got a jungler that doesn't have any form of really self-peel or self-sustain. He's kind of just relying on sheer damage and a little bit of tankiness to hopefully deal enough damage that his team can follow up and kill somebody. It's just... I just don't think he has room to work with here.
The early game impact that he was supposed to make, unfortunately, did not happen. Johnny splitting here. Love the Magi's cloak, by the way. Dracomarino pulled in, dashed away, no big deal. FaraKrik portals away. Now he portals him and the jungler. That was a beautiful deke. Where will it go? There's Dracomarino in the back line. Can't find anybody. Phoenix already down for the count. FlashPoint looking to disengage as they have gotten what they've come for. Now one more time through the portal because they know Julio's ultimate going to be down. Chekio on the run, has that ultimate available, and WorstTurttle is toasted. As we said, Kespainify on the good side of things, 4-3-4 for the AMC.
WorstTurttle didn't even get to ult. That entire fight, he just did not feel an opportunity to ult here. And now Dracomarino, without that Scare's Blessing, he is just toast.
Yeah.
Not a chance of survivability there to be had. And Johnny now going to keep it rolling. Warchi to fall next up. Chekio could be on the targeting block, but that is going to be the case. And, well, they could kill Julio, but they'd rather just kill the Titan.
FlashPoint picking up where they left off, looking fantastic here in their first game in the minor league. Chasing down Julio because why the hell not? Deicide, baby. Kill number 22 and FlashPoint. Take game 1.
To be fair, he kind of asked for it. He did run at 5 people, and we all know that it wasn't going to work. Julio knew it wasn't going to work, but why not?
Love that stuff coming out from FlashPoint. Again, not only do they understand their team identity, Johnny's kind of our star. Let's draft around that. Give him a late game carry. Give him the tools around him like Janus to enable that. And then let's play around him. Wait until the later parts of the game. And then Johnny, truly the guy on the spot. Game 1 of the books. Let's break it down.
I'd be happy to break it down. I've got Hinduman to help me with that after a very strong Game 1 performance coming out by FlashPoint. And Graham, I want to know what you thought was the key factor for me, because it seemed like as soon as Johnny was able to kill that Vamana, that's when the game started turning in FlashPoint's favor.
Well, funny enough, the start of the game, Queso got off to the cheeky start we saw at Splice with Worlds, where it's like 3-man dueling, get the first blood. But ever since then, the game was very scrappy. And generally,
it was
at the
a lot of fighting.
Start of the season, we see a lot of scrapping most of the time because no one's really sure what to do. But this is the first blood that we saw at the start, which Julio got off to a great start, as you said, on the Vamana, which was causing a couple of problems for FlashPoint. But all the while, Finch, every single fight, FlashPoint were initiating and forcing fights everywhere consistently. And Team Queso were just responding to it and like not playing their own game plan, it felt to me. It felt like they were forced to fight consistently. And it became just a scrap fest that as the game went on, the longer it goes, the more Kali comes online.
Yes.
And that's when you start to run into the issues. I'm a little bit worried that Queso just didn't like commit to their own game plan most of the time there.
And you talked about, like, the longer the game goes on, the better Kali gets, especially when Johnny builds this way. He started with, you don't see it now, the Transcendence, and it was Crusher and Boots in that path, and that it does really work. You were talking about in the green room against some of these squishier characters, right? It does when you help blow up mages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when the problem was Julio on this Vamana, then Johnny was irrelevant. Once he got Hasten and Kins online, that's when he was able to start shredding the Vamana. And even when he didn't kill him, when he could push him out of the fights earlier on, it looked like then that was when FlashPoint was able to start running through the rest of Queso.
As the game goes on as well, Julio will fall off. Like, Vamana does fall off in the late game because he just becomes a walking tank, right? In a weird way. He's a tank that can run you down and keep you busy, sure. But if all he's going to really be is a walking tank, Akali's going to do a lot more for you in a team fight in terms of damage. And Sibi can technically frontline a little bit more just because he's got that cloud, that ultimate to get himself out of danger. Johnny had a fantastic game, though. They bat away Zhao Kwang. He goes to the Kali. And right at the start, this early blink that he got for the answer back to the first blood. Nice little timing window. And luckily enough, Sibi escapes this.
And I know you were talking about how you felt like Queso didn't play their identity. I think what was missing is that they didn't have anyone to hand the baton to, right? We won't talk about that one, Johnny. But the Vamana did the early game exactly the way that he was supposed to, right? He ran it. But then it got to the point where, just like you said, Vamana does drop off a bit in that late game. He can get blown up even in the big baby form when more anti-heals online. Well, who do they pass the baton to? They had no one there.
And it's supposed to be the Xbalanque there. Chekio should have been the one that they're looking to pass it off to. Problem with Chekio that game is that when you play in this sort of comp that, well, basically Queso was designed, everybody goes in, including the Khepri that's trying to frontline, which means Zhuba's being left on his own and being isolated by maybe the Vamana, maybe some of the other like assassins that are going to cause problems for him. Makes it very tricky for him to get the damage off they needed to. Warchi's playing that game as well. I'm a little concerned about his mana regen. He didn't. Every single fight I looked at him, he was full health, but no mana. And I'm like, okay, he's got to work on that MP5 issue a little bit more. Maybe he's spamming his abilities too much, but that makes an impact. You know, you need that mana still for those fights.
And I liked the game plan on paper from Queso. You saw saw it a lot, right? You saw WorstTurttle locking in. Maybe it was Kespainify, maybe it was FaraKrik, whoever it was with the walls, and then you have Khepri putting down the ultimate to res whoever it is that's going in to make sure they don't take too much damage. That plan worked. They just didn't have anyone else to switch to in the later game, not to match up with what Kali was doing from Johnny, right? That just was kind of what it about.
And funny enough, when we look at the composition that they put together there, I liked a lot about it. WorstTurttle was actually counter-initiating. He was waiting for the engagement from FlashPoint. FlashPoint go for a kill, don't find it. Maybe Khepri gets a res, right? But then he came out of nowhere, blinks in, gets the wall off a couple of times, causes problems for them. But they've not got the follow-up damage after the fact. And I think Warchi playing a Zhong there, it would have been better to give him a long-range mage, I feel. Just so he could sit at the back a little bit more and get that range damage in when WorstTurtle's committing after the fact. The comp is very close to being perfect, I think. I just think FlashPoint played their game and made it scrappy on purpose, and that kind of disjointed Team Queso a little bit there.